Hey there everybody, if you're looking for a review on Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom, you are definitely in the right place. My book look is based off of essentially the kind of like sepia tone of most of the photos and just the general sepia tone of old photos in general. I love wearing brown lipstick and it's one of my favorite things, so any excuse to wear brown lipstick. So I kind of went like with just like a sepia kind of school kid look because they're all children and they're kind of like in like a school type situation, so that was kind of what I was going for. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 and put it on my must-reads on Goodreads because I thought this book was so brilliant. It's a really, really good read. I'm trying to be a little quiet because it's late and I don't know if my housemates are home or sleeping, so I'm just gonna be a little shy with my excitement. General synopsis: follow this character who is diving into his grandfather's history and discovers that his grandfather, all these stories that he grew up with his grandfather telling him about peculiar children and their mysterious powers and things like that. He kind of discovers like his grandfather genuinely believed that this place and these people really existed. And his grandfather used to show him old photos. Like if you're not familiar with the book also has like these photos in it that are used to kind of guide the story. So essentially he goes to this island. It's like a Welsh island or something like that. I forget. I'm not gonna lie. I totally forget. But it is an island off the coast of Europe somewhere. I believe he mentioned something about Welsh accents, so I think maybe it was a Welsh island, I don't know. I think he's 16, I believe he's 16. The 16-year-old boy goes with his father to this island. They're staying at the only inn that exists on this island. It's a very tiny town, and he investigates. He ends up discovering the peculiar children, and it's about his adventures with the peculiar children. I don't know how else to like say that without giving away too much. My general thoughts on this book, it was so good. So I first learned about this series from Jesse the Reader, who is a booktuber who I follow. It's his favorite book and he never stops talking about it, and I was like, I really should give this a read. And then I saw that the movie was coming out, and I'm not one of those people who needs to read the book before they see the movie. I don't really care. But for this one specifically, I knew that I had heard that there were some big changes between the book and the movie, so I wanted to read the book first just to kind of know what those changes are. And one thing about it and that is that the photos in the book are real. They're slightly edited for like writing and stuff like that on them, but other than that, the photos were found by Ransom, the author of this novel in this series. They were found by Ransom in garage sales and antique shops and things like that, who just really loved to collect these photos. He used them to guide basically a story, and just like most writers and most people, for things that no longer are attached to their story, he liked to make a story up for them. And he used the photos to guide the story along and make the characters, and I thought that was so cool. It works so well. I think it was brilliant. I think that it was a wonderful way to write a book. I have not read any of the sequels, but I do have them and I am going to start reading them probably this week. I need to finish 5 books by the end of August, so I will definitely get on those very soon. So I thought it was perfect. Ransom himself is a brilliant writer. I thought his writing was perfect. It flowed in a way that was very smooth and cohesive with the photos. One of my biggest pet peeves about writing and stories and books and things like that is writing that is distracting from the story, whether that be that the vocabulary is too much, or grammatical errors, or just words that are repeated too much and things like that. They catch me. I get caught on them, and I can't let go of them. There are a couple of books and writers who just overuse certain words and it ruins that word for me. And I'm trying to like get over that, but it's just who I am as a reader, and I think that Ransom has a beautiful writing style that I did not get stuck on at all. I think it flowed. It's almost like I forget that the writing is even there and that I'm just experiencing the story, which is how I believe reading should be. If it's well polished, well written, edited and all of that. So I think that was wonderful. The characters were brilliant and wonderful. Even the ones I wasn't particularly fond of, they have a lot of depth to them. Everybody has a backstory. It was almost like Ransom had collected these people, really gotten to know them, and wanted to give them each a very important role in the story. I kind of got this sort of Lost Boys feeling from the kids, just the way that they go about doing everything. They're very courageous, but I thought all of that was wonderful. The fantasy in this book is really great. I've seen a lot of really negative reviews for this book on Goodreads, and when I read them, I think what the problem is the wrong expectation is set. So just based off the cover of the book and the general given synopsis, and the fact that the movie is now directed by Tim Burton, I think gives everybody this impression that this is going to be a really creepy, eerie read. And I got a little bit of eerie from it, but definitely not creepy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's scary necessarily. I mean, there are scary creatures in this book. There's nerve-wracking parts, but I wouldn't call this a creepy or eerie book. There are just eerie parts. And I think that a lot of people go into it hoping to get something like a Stephen King kind of creepy out of it, and it's not that. And I think that wrong expectations are set based off of the way that the novel appears and the way that it is presented and the fact that Tim Burton is directing the film. I think that Tim Burton absolutely is the perfect person to direct this film. I'm very excited to see it come to life. I think that the people who give it negative reviews just have this assumption somehow. They always comment like, well, I didn't think it was that creepy. I don't think it was meant to be creepy. I don't think it was meant to be eerie. I think the pictures themselves are creepy and eerie sometimes, and sometimes I would be reading and flip a page and be like, oh, okay, whew, it's a picture. And it was interesting. A lot of people commented that they thought that the pictures, the way that they guided the story, were really forced. I didn't think they were forced at all. He did that. Sometimes the description went a little beyond what the photo gives, but I think that was fine because that's where the imagination comes in, and that's where you take what the photo is and put it into your imagination. And I think it's really cool that these photos are real photos of real people, of real scenes that existed in the world. I think that is beautiful. I love old photos. I love old photos. It would be really cool to like give Ransom Briggs like a picture of my family from the like 50s or 60s or something like that, and see if he could like work it in there. I think that would be really cool. But overall, the plot for me was a 5 out of 5. The characters for me were a 5 out of 5, and the writing was a 5 out of 5. So I had to put it on my must-reads because I really enjoyed this book. And whether or not I like the sequels, this book standalone was just brilliant and wonderful and exciting, and had adventure and mystery and excitement and monsters and magic and all that. Book accessories, if for those of you who don't know, book accessories for me are things you can use to help get you immersed further into the story. For this one, for taste, as a rule, I love Earl Grey tea. I love all tea. I love tea and coffee. But I drink a lot of Earl Grey tea while reading this book. I think maybe it was the accents that I had imagined in my head, because I know that most of them are supposed to have accents. It just kind of put me in like a Victorian era type thing, where I was like, ah yes, I want to drink my Earl Grey tea. With this, I got back into the habit. I used to eat this a lot. When I had moved into my first apartment, I would eat whole grain toast, toasted until it was like charred on the top and bottom, with just Nutella on top, and that was like my dessert or my snack for the evening. And I ate a lot of that while I was reading this book, and I don't know why. It just kind of was something I started craving while I was reading the book. So those are some things for taste. As far as sight, I really liked reading this book at night. And if I had the opportunity to read it outside at night, I would. For some reason, reading outside was really nice for this book, especially at night. So I would recommend that. As far as for smells, I just really enjoyed the smell of toast and Nutella, and the Earl Grey tea all together. So the smells of the foods that I was eating really helped stimulate me that way. I didn't have a need to like light incense or anything like that while I was reading this book. I made a playlist with a few songs that I thought went really well with this book. One of the songs that came first to mind when I started reading this book, the song that came to mind was Mad World, specifically the Gary Jules version. That kind of weird vibe. So Familiar by Agnes Obel from the album Familiar was also a really good song to go with this book. Frail Love by Clove from the album XIII was a really good song to kind of describe the little romance that blooms in this book, which I thought was a little weird, but at the same time very sweet. And then lastly, a good song to go with this book was Ghost Towns by Radical Face from the album The Roots. All of the songs kind of captured the mood of this book for me. So if you're trying to get a good idea for what the mood of the book is, if you give those 3 songs a play, I feel like to me that played off what it was. It wasn't quite creepy, but it was a little haunting. I would say haunting was a really good word for this book. Not creepy or eerie, but haunting, which is very appropriate for the actual story.